My name is Trevor Waddington. I am the principal at Truth Tree Consulting. We work exclusively with schools and with camps to exceed their enrollment goals via digital marketing, among other things. And this is Google Ads for beginners. Now, you can all right now, and don't really do it, but you can all go to YouTube and watch about 1,000 beginner demos on Google Ads. And I am going to mirror some of that. What I really want to do or spend a lot of the time is what is the thinking that goes behind the process of creating ads for for our school partners. And usually they kind of give away the secret in the end. The secret, there's not a huge secret. You want to show ads to the right people. You want them to see it, and you want them to click on it. And again, that seems like a simple formula, but there's a lot more that goes into it. And what we really talk a lot about is we want to elicit an emotion from the user on the other end. It's either pain or it's pleasure. Most of the time we prefer the pleasure, but there's also an ounce of pain in there too for some folks. And that's what we do. We spend a lot of time at Truth Tree studying the data to determine what pain parents want to avoid and what pleasure they want via their child or children when shopping for and choosing services for their children. And what that does is that allows us to really engineer the enrollment process. We like to think of enrollment management at a bit of a higher level. Managing is really a reactive, but what we like to do is design and engineer enrollment in a proactive way. So if this was the old normal, we're in the new normal now. I mean, think about it in terms of what do you want or need for the next school year. Obviously you want new students at your entry grades, but a little less obvious than that is, and I'm still letting a couple people in here, a little less obvious than that is, do you need more boys in a certain grade? What about full pay families? We love full pay families, but are there only certain grades that, we can always bring in more full pay families, but do we particularly want them in grades where there's a financial aid bubble? Do we want more diversity in middle school? That's really kind of how granular we like to get as we go through this process. All right, so I know that everybody is alert, awake, and alive, and not just setting it and forgetting it yourselves. I want you to write in the chat, and you don't have to write anything, but I want you to write in the chat, what is the one biggest takeaway that you want to get from today's session? What is something that you really want to learn today? Hopefully, I've either got it covered for you, or we can divert slightly to see what those are. So write in the chat, what's one big takeaway that you would like to get from today? Best use of Google Ads and how to place them. Good, we'll get into that. How to Google Ads myself and not have to pay someone else to do it for me. Well, that's definitely what we're going to be doing today. More on the marketing formula. That's really, a lot, Chris, that's what we're going to talk about, is that formula for how to do that. How to evaluate ROI. Great. I think we're going to do a little bit more of the ROI tomorrow with the intermediates. How to target Google Ads using remarketing pixels. That's more, pixels are with Facebook. The tag manager, which is used with Google, we can talk about. We're going to be diving into that tomorrow. And now they're kind of coming by pretty quickly here. How much to rely on Google automated suggestions for optimization. That's a really good one. I'm not huge on all of their optimizations. Really, they're a business. They're trying to make money, and they're making money off of you. And I see some other ones coming in here. So keep those coming. We'll try to go back to some of those, how to create, target, and place. So good. And we're really going to get to all of that as we go through this. Now, just a little bit about me, like why am I sitting here telling you about Google Ads? I've been doing Google Ads for about a decade now, working in and for schools. So I've seen the short, the medium, and the long-term impact of effective digital marketing, and how schools can really engineer it for their enrollment purposes, not just general visibility. Now, I started my career as a social studies teacher at a small private school in Philadelphia, and I had big ambitions, and I started to collect more hats, as you have, and many of us have. Oh, somebody coming in from their iPhone, cool. I taught four different courses. I coached golf. I was the curriculum coordinator. I even drove a van to and from a train station to pick up students. And then one day my head of school asked, can someone help out with marketing? And obviously I stepped forward. Now the first assignment that I had, bring in some more folks. We got a good group. Welcome new folks that just came in. So the first assignment that I had in my new role in marketing was I was asked to create and distribute a press release. And I was really excited. I really wanted to impress the head of school. So I did a lot of research into press releases, how to make them, how to put them together. And I wrote what I thought was a really convincing and effective piece. And then the next 2 hours really put my sanity to the test. And that was trying to place photos in a Word doc in the year, I think it was 2001. If you were doing that back then, it was, I really wanted to give Clippy here a black eye, but I persevered. I got through it. I sent off the press release, and the next day, the editor said, hey, this is great. Thanks for sending this. We'd love to publish this. Oh, by the way, please next time include the photos separately. Don't put them in the body. So you live and you learn. But it was a frustrating couple of hours for me. Now, obviously, you are on with me today because you know the importance of Google Ads, and maybe you've experienced some frustrations of your own. I saw a little bit in the chat with some of the questions that, there are some frustrations with setting them up, their effectiveness, and a lot of that mirrors the frustration that I had when I created that first press release that I mentioned. But while that press release was important in the moment, Google Ads and digital marketing, and if I had created this 2 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, I would say the same thing, but you can really multiply that by 10 at this point. That digital marketing is really is more important now than ever. Now, if you are with me on that, and just so I know you're all still alive, just put in the chat there, yes, if you feel that digital marketing is important for you and for your school, capital Y-E, oh, exclamation point, super important. Awesome. And thanks for all the participation from everyone too. I like that I'm not just kind of talking to myself here, like when I practice. So first and foremost, and I think you probably know this, but marketing schools now is a 12-month endeavor. I'm going to repeat that. Marketing for your school, it must be a 12-month endeavor. Now, based on Google searching and Google Trends, and you can look this up yourself if you don't believe my chart here, but really what it tells me is that people are searching year-round, and depending on where you are in the world or in the United States, this chart comes from the United States, as you can see. Right, get my little pointer here. You can see over here from the United States. So you can see from this that yes, there are some dips here and there, but really the 2 months of the year that get the most traffic are actually April and May. A lot of times that's counterintuitive to schools that have open houses in the fall. A lot of that marketing starts in the early fall. But I can't stress this enough, that there really is no longer an off season when it comes to parents seeking private school, really in the United States and around the world. Now, couple that knowledge with the overall trend since 2004 that shows that searching for private school is consistently going down overall. And this is due to pressure on the wallet, as you know, the thinning or the slowing of affluent population with a lot of college loan debts. And in a lot of cases, public schools starting to market for themselves. I'm a big analogy guy, and my favorite analogy for this really is that there are less quality fish in the sea. The fish are far from, they're very knowledgeable and they're savvy. So really, to catch enough of the best ones, you need the best fishing lure. And that fishing lure is Google Ads. Now, here's why people don't go to Facebook and say, gee, I really hope as I scroll through my Facebook feed here that I see an ad for a school, or they don't go to a party hoping that someone will talk about their child's independent school and I can go up to them and find out more. They go to Google and they type in private school near me or top private school in Chicago. Now, for many of you who signed up for this last week or earlier in the week, you got an email. I think it was on Monday. I sent out an email that said, hey, we'd like to use one of your schools. Instead of using a dummy school, a demo school, or just a fake school, like sometimes we do, we call it Truth Tree Academy. I wanted to be able to provide some help to a school, hopefully. And we put them all in a virtual hat, and Rogers Park Montessori School in Chicago was the winner. So we're going to be using them to create a campaign today. And again, for those of you who've come a little late as you jumped in, I'm not going to go through every single step by step when it comes to creating Google Ads. Google does a nice job of explaining those things. And admitting more people. Google does a great job of explaining those things, and you can go to YouTube and watch a video on that. Really, what I want to do is talk about our process at Truth Tree and how when we partner with schools, how we go about that process. So are there any questions that I can answer before we dive into that? I don't want to take too long for questions because I want to be mindful of everyone's time, and we're going to have plenty of time at the end where I'm happy to answer questions. My kids are upstairs watching one of the Descendants movies. Don't judge. We've been working with them all week, all sorts of stuff. So today is movie day to, keep my my office from going up and down. Can you recommend those specific Google Ads, YouTube videos? Too many to sort through. Yeah, we're gonna go really right into that right now. So when you create your Google account, and what you'll do is use your Gmail account if you have one, but you don't need one, but you can create one, and then go to Google Ads, click it, do some stuff, and then you'll come to this page here. Now this, and I think this question came up here, we bypass this. This is really for the kind of set it and forget it crowd. It's just a very basic way to go through it. So you're actually going to go down here, and I would recommend anybody, if you have it, open it up now, get it ready. So you can kind of play along with me here. But what we're going to do is we're going to click down here where it says switch to expert mode. Now there are 7 options here. I will be honest, I've never used some of these because we don't promote apps. Sometimes sales, a little bit of this. The main ones that we use for our school partners are leads, website traffic, and brand awareness and reach. Now, really the cornerstone of any good ads campaign is search. That's when people go to Google and they type in, and I've got multiple screens here, so that's why you may see me looking around. But the main one we use is website traffic. So we click website traffic, and then this pops up down here. Now, the great thing about Google is that pretty much when you hover over anything or you hover over a question mark, it gives you a pretty easy explanation for what it is and what it can do for you. So for this, we want to click search. So we get on here, we click website traffic, we click search. And then what I'm going to do is we're going to be using Rogers Park Montessori School. So I'm going to use their business address right here. Now, interestingly, and I'm on this every day for our school partners, for our camp partners, for Truth Tree. So hopefully you can find us as well. And just this morning, they changed this interface. This used to be the last box here. If anybody else is on, you're like, oh, this looks different. It looked different for me this morning. And actually some of the pages as we go through, as I was going through this to make sure that I was using my time wisely for you, they've changed some of this. Conversion trackings is actually something, I actually don't have the new box yet. Oh, okay, well, I don't know why I'm seeing it, but I'm seeing it. So we put in their URL, and it doesn't need to be a specific URL. It's really just the school's URL, and then we're gonna click continue. Now, you can name the campaign anything you want. Typically what we do is we'll name it after specifically what our goals are. So if this is a K-12 school, which Rogers Park is not, but if they were, this may be preschool or it may be high school. But let's just call this one, we'll call this one a general awareness. And pardon my, my spelling as we go along here. Now, 99 times out of 100, for all of our partners, I'm going to click off of these boxes. The reason why is they are not Google searches. So it's other platforms that you can search on that I would consider not as reliable, and your ad has a less likely chance of getting clicked on those. I want people who are, the people who are going to Google and are searching on Google. I almost always click off of the display network here because they show on display-based pages, but they are search type ads, and the value of it doesn't really equate to what an independent school is bringing. If I was selling packs of bubble gum or baseball cards, I would probably leave both of these clicked. So again, I'm not going to go through every single little element of it, but one of the things, especially if you are doing an open house or you have an event coming up, you may want to, or unless you're very vigilant, it just makes sense to create an end date for your campaign, especially if it's your first time and you're like, oh my gosh, that's right, I have an ad campaign running. We're going to skip these for now. We'll talk about some of these tomorrow during the intermediate session. But one of the important things is the location option. So what we would typically do working with our school partner is figure out how big is your sphere of influence. So knowing it's in Chicago, and we'll just go up to the, let's see, the zip code is 60, I know it's somewhere here. Let me move some of these boxes out of the way. So I'm going to go in here, I'm going to do a radius, and I'm going to do 60640 425, and that pops up here. Now 20 miles is always going to be the default here. Now people are out in their boats in Lake Michigan. That's great. They'll be able to pick up the ad, but that may be a little too big for this school, or they may even say, hey, we get families from McHenry or from Crystal Lake. And if they do get all of this, great, and we may want to expand. Now, when you do this, if you're an international school, I mean, you may be targeting the entire planet. But if you are a local school that doesn't have a boarding component, you're going to want to pick the areas. But we all know that it's not a perfect radius around where you are. So you can also, instead of radius, you can just say Evanston and click target here. So what you want to do is figure out, where that sphere of influence is. And for each campaign, you can target different areas. For example, if you want to target, and I've spent some time in Chicago, but if you wanted to target just Wrigleyville, which is a section in North Chicago, or Lincoln Park, or Lakeshore East, or any of the specific, you can do that. If you want to target the whole area like we're going to do, you can do that as well. So, and then you can also exclude areas. So if you are right up against, let's say, a big mountain range or a lake or a river, and you don't get folks from the other side of that, you can exclude that other side of it too. Does that all make sense to everybody? Any questions about that specific, the location aspect of it? So when it comes to languages, let's see, say if someone searches for private school in Phoenix, Arizona, and they're located in California or outside of the radius, will they still see the ad? Brianna, that's a really good question. So one of the location options. So one of the pieces here, and it really depends on who you're trying to target. So that's a really good question. So if I will typically, for a school like Rogers Park, choose people in or regularly in the target locations. And let me actually back up for just a second when I say that. Going back to and taking a look at this map, your school may be located in Waukegan up here, but if your families, if the parents of the kids you would like to come to your school work in Chicago, you want to target where parents work and where they live. So don't just kind of draw around, the radius around your school. But what you can do here is people in or regularly in your target location. I think this is good if you're not in a very transient area, or if you, you don't have a national or international pull. You'll probably want to choose this. One of the things you can do next in the audience, which you'll see, is you can target people who are interested specifically in Chicago. But typically for a school like Rogers Park Montessori, I'm going to click here. And I'm not going to exclude anybody at this point. Now, if you have a Spanish-speaking population, if you're an international school, you very may well want to choose other languages. French, pretty much every language is in here. But mind you, it's going to show up on websites that are in this language, but it's not going to translate your ad for you. Now, audience you can use it, but you don't have to use it. I actually like to use it because we like to do A/B testing with a lot of our school partners. And what you can do in here is you can search and then browse. So for example, for Rogers Park, we want to get parents, and their age is 2 to 14. So there's always going to be a little bit of collateral here. But frankly, and this is something that we coach schools on all the time, maybe not for a search ad, but what you will want to do with maybe some display ads or other forms, you want to start, talking, if you will, to those parents before they're eligible for your school. I always think 2, 3, really 4 years before they're eligible for your school. So in this case, I'm going to click all of these. They do go up to age 14. Do I want to click 13 to 17? Maybe. And then what it'll do, once you start to do that, it figures out, oh, okay, so you want maybe childcare and education. Remember with this, it's not about what they're searching for right now, but it's a history of searching. So folks that have searched for childcare will probably be searching for education. The big one here is primary and secondary schools, because as you can read right here, people interested in enrolling their children in private and primary or secondary schools. So this one is an important one too. But let's just say that an early childhood for them, there's no Montessori search, but some things of your school, if you have a ski team at your school, if you have a water polo team, you can search here for outdoor activities or skiing. I think skiing comes up. I think it says skiing enthusiasts. So yeah, skiing enthusiasts, winter sports enthusiasts. These are some things that you can put in there for some specific campaigns that you create, possibly around the ski team that you have at your school. But since we're doing more of a general awareness, we're going to keep, we can put these in here, but for this, we're going to keep this at observation, because we're not going to narrow it down specifically to this. Now, when we first start out, and I would recommend that you do this as well, set your budget low. There are a lot of things to click on that we didn't even click on yet. And you want to make sure that you didn't mess anything up. And really, you want to just kind of use it as a learning experience. I'm happy to learn for $15 over 3 days as opposed to $150 over 3 days to find out that it just didn't work. So we're going to put $5 in here to start out. We're going to go through bidding and bid strategy tomorrow with the intermediate webinar. But there are different bid strategies, and at certain points of the year for certain schools, it's very important to have a specific bid strategy. But we're going to leave it on clicks for right now. The other thing we're going to do now, so show more here. You can actually, so for example, if you were to do a phone call based ad schedule where you wanted people to call you, obviously, well, now's probably not a good time. But when school hopefully gets back to normal, you might want to do Monday to Friday between 10 and 2 or 9 to 3, whenever you can answer that call. You don't have to do that, but that's something that you can do. And then these here, site link extensions, call out extensions, they're absolutely right when it says it gives you a 50% higher click-through rate. But how we use this is a continuation of what we call the short story that is the Google ad. So we'll talk about these tomorrow. So we've got everything set up that we want. So now we're going to go down here and we're going to click Save and Continue. Oh, it went back to normal. So this is important. So a lot of the big time digital marketing firms that work with all sorts of industries, typically what they're going to do is they're going to put your maybe a keyword or two here. So private school. And then they're going to use your URL up here. And they're going to just click Add All. And a whole bunch of stuff is going to start to populate into this. Now, a lot of this stuff has nothing to do with you. I think I saw monastery school. I don't know too many Montessori schools that are a monastery school. Even Montessori curriculum, I mean, you're going to capture teachers that are looking for curriculum ideas, especially right now. So while some of these are good, I don't love to use them. And this is really where we spend at TruthTree. We spend a lot of time in here, really creating long-term conversational keywords. So some of the easy ones, and some of them, frankly, are cut and paste for pretty much every school. You want to do private school, schools near me, Montessori school. Now, there are different ways to trigger these, and we don't like using broad match. Broad match, you need a lot of vigilance in your ads if you do broad match. And you're going to show your ad to a lot of people, but the quality is not necessarily going to be there. We almost always exclusively use the keyword match, which is where you put the parentheticals around the word or the term here. Now, the nice thing is as many as we fill in here, once you've created the ad, you can actually go out and go back to your keywords and then make all of the broad match keyword, and I'll show you that towards the end. But once we put in sort of the default or the canned ones, that's really where we want to learn with our partnership with Rogers Park and say, hey, what are some specific keywords we can put in here that are going to capture a great audience, but at the same time, we're not competing as much with other schools. So something you can do is I think it's Andersonville, which is a section of Chicago. I believe that's what I saw on the website, which is behind all these chat boxes and stuff. So Andersonville preschool, independent. Again, I can't spell, independent school, North Side, Chicago, things like that. Even things like preschool for my 2-year-old daughter. You'd be surprised how conversational people can be. And the more that you can fill these in, the better you're going to be. And then also going back to keyword analyzers to see what else is trending. Usually something like this isn't trending, but I'll tell you what is trending right now is people looking for distance learning, digital learning, e-learning, anything to, ABC Mouse, anything to give, kids some work to do. Because, as I've said to a lot of colleagues and some of you through social media, a lot of the public schools, especially in my area, a lot of folks think, and I tend to agree with them, have kind of dropped the ball with what they're able to provide for kids. So I really think this is an opportune time. Little PSA for you: if you can bring non-customers in and do distance learning, at your school, I think that's definitely something you want to do. Kristen, are they essential in this box? I'm not quite sure what you mean by that, but what is the difference between phrase match and exact match? So phrase match is essentially these words are in, so for this one, we'll just use Andersonville preschool. So these words show up in it, but these words have to show up in it. So Andersonville preschool for blonde-haired boys, something like that. But as long as those two words show up, your ad has the potential of showing up. If it was just Andersonville and preschool and we didn't have the quote marks around it for a broad search, then anything with Andersonville and preschool has the ability to show up. Now, for the exact match, this exact phrase in this order has to show up. One of the tricks that I'll show you guys tomorrow is you can do things like Chicago, and you can use the plus sign here, preschool, private school. So that will allow you to put those in any order that you want. Is it better to use phrase match, not broad match? We almost exclusively use phrase match because we want, with broad match, you're going to get more traffic and maybe more traffic to your site. But again, it may not be the quality site. So let's just leave it at this. We've got 2 keywords, although they're not the best. Let's just pop in private school here. It doesn't really matter at this point because we're just making an ad. And I would go back out and when we go in there to actually create or to do the keywords, we can go back in and phrase match them. So this is really where the design, that short story design happens here. Now, this is the final URL. It does not have to be your homepage. And actually, one of the tips I'm going to give you at the end is you don't want to drive people to your homepage, especially if your homepage is not equipped to collect their information by a form or give them exactly what the ad said. You want to take them to a page that really continues that short story that came from the ad. Now, there's a couple different formulas we use. Typically for schools, within each campaign, we're going to create 3 to 5 different ads. The ones that work best for us for the 3 headlines are benefit, benefit call to action, or benefit tactic call to action. So, and we want it to stand out as well. So if I was to, and I don't want to critique anybody on here, but I'm going to type in private schools Chicago. I'm going to move this over here. And you can see, so I'm located just north of DC in south of Baltimore. So when I type in private school Chicago, and this kind of goes to that broad match question. And I'm not going to click on any of these and charge anybody any money. But for example, Landon is a school that's local to me. So what they've done is my strong assumption is private schools, they have that as a broad match. And I am in the area that they're trying to target. Now, the problem with this is that it doesn't say anything about Chicago or not. Maybe I am looking for a boys' school, but specifically if I'm looking for private school Chicago, I might click here and then get confused because Landon is not in Chicago. At least with Holy Trinity here, they've said private school in Chicago. Fusion Academy, if anybody's on from Fusion, I tease with many of you that the Fusion Academy is the Starbucks of private schools. And then Gunston is also local to us. So again, I mean, I'm not necessarily going to click on it, but it's something that I could click on. So with the headline, we want to capture the reader's attention, because as you see from here, there are 4 ads. These are competing with one another. Ultimately, you want to get the top spot, but you don't want to necessarily lead with your school name. The reason you don't want to lead with your school name is you may not have that name brand school name. You want to really kind of talk to the benefits up here. Now, one of the things we might put up here are, because this is actually a general one, let's just keep it kind of simple and not benefits. And and again, part of this too is what you feel is going to be best for you. So we can say leading private school. We'll do leading Montessori school Chicago. And what you're seeing right away is that that's not going to fit. So this is where we need to be a little bit, we need to take a little bit of creative freedom here. Sometimes we'll use shorthand, leading Montessori school. So if they're looking in Chicago, we can shorten it to that. Then we want to make sure ages 2 to 14. I know a lot of schools' websites, and it's frustrating for folks. They go on and they're not able to identify what ages or grades that the school serves. We may then put in headline 1 here, Rogers Montessori or Rogers Park Montessori School, which does fit. If your school has more than 30 characters, you're going to have to figure something out. Another thing we like to do is testimonials. Testimonials work really, really well, not only in the headlines, if you can get them short enough, but in the description. So sometimes what we'll do to kind of match the headline to the description is best decision ever. And we can just do parent or something along those lines. And then we can just shorten these up to make sure it fits. So what we've got here is we've got a quote. That's going to stand out because if we look at the other ones here, they all look very similar, but a quote mark, it does stand out. And we found that these ads get a lot of clicks to them. Down here in the description, we want to kind of continue what the headlines talked about. So if this was specific for their preschool or their kindergarten aged program, we would want the description to mirror that as well. So a lot of times what we do with the first description is it may be a full quote from that parent. So RM or RPMS was the best decision we ever made. And I'm just, typing in here. We love the school, so on and so forth. Mary current. These work really well when creating these. And then description 2, and a lot of times with description 2, that's where we have something like Rogers Park Montessori School. It serves students ages 2 to 14 in the Andersonville neighborhood of Chicago. So, or what we'll do here, another tactic is benefit, and call to action. So apply today, or open house March 30 at 1 p.m. And then down here, kind of a call to action to attend the open house or what they'll see at the open house. So I'm going to type something in here. I'm going to do this right here. So at this point, we've built our ad. And what we're going to do is, and it's going to ask you to create more, but we're going to save and continue. And then it's going to say, don't you want to create more ads? And right now, we're not going to do that. Then it's going to say, put your information in, and it's going to take us out to the page. I'm going to do this real quick. Hopefully it won't show you my too much of my bank statement here. So then this is what's going to be your dashboard here. And you can see when you click on campaigns that we've got one campaign running. Right now, I'm going to pause that. It would be in the learning phase. And then once it gets through that, you're going to start to see the impressions and clicks start to fill up. The two things that we look at the most with this, and it really depends on the campaign, is CTR, which is the click-through rate. So if 100 people see it and 5 people click on it, you're going to get a 5% click-through rate. And then the average cost per click. Now, for the CTR, industry standard says for what we are doing, now it's actually gone up. A 3.2 is the CTR that you want. You want your ads to be at 3.2% or above. Now, the average cost per click, that really depends on where you are in the United States, in the world, and specifically what keywords you are using. In some cases, some keywords are going to cost you $10, $15, even $20. But if you can create those long tail keywords, it's going to bring that cost down. And that's a lot of what we do for our school partners, is try to bring those down. Now, from this campaign, what you can do is see what works and then build out more campaigns as you go along and create different kinds of campaigns. For example, you can do lead-based campaigns. You can do display ad campaigns, which we're going to get into tomorrow. So are there any questions? I've still got some more stuff to kind of get through, but I want to stop here to see if people have questions about any of the stuff that we've just gone over. What's the best number of keywords to use in a campaign? It really depends. The more keywords that you can put in here, and let me just show you what I meant earlier by phrase matching them all. So essentially, you click them all, you go to edit, and then you change match type from broad match to, you can do exact match or phrase match, and then click apply. But the more that you put in here, the better. You don't want to have too many redundant ones, but you want to create more long tail ones. Private school with swim team, private school with STEM program. I mean, and you know what your school has that other schools don't. And while that may only be searched by a few people a year, if you can match an ad to exactly what they're looking for, the chances of your ad getting clicked are exponentially higher. Joe asks, why did you recommend not using search network and display, or lower click-through rates and less efficiency in campaign? Yeah, it's actually well, actually, it probably will be a lower click-through rate, but it's the efficiency part, and they're less reputable sites. And when people see ads, so an example I'll use that when we, because the question I get a lot is, well, SEO is more important because people don't really click on ads. I agree that if I type in vacation to Mexico and an ad is at the very top and it says 4 days and 5 nights for $99 total, click here, I'm going to be a little apprehensive to do that. But when it comes to things like schools and kind of high-end products where you don't expect someone to pull a bait and switch with an independent school, they're much more likely to click on them. So good question. Other questions before we move on? You're welcome. Let me move my boxes around real quick. There we go. I'm gonna find the right box here. Let's see. Let me get my notes up. Where are my notes? There they go. I got another. Can you go back to the optimization? Yeah, let me drag this back over here. When you say the optimization, Kristen, what do you mean by that? All right, well, we can get to that. Let's see. You were talking about getting to 3.2. Okay. So in the campaigns, a 3.2 click-through rate. CTR is click-through rate. So it measures how often people click your ad after it's shown to them, which can help you understand the effectiveness of your ad. So that's really what it is. The higher this number, the better. The thing is, a lot of the different ad types are going to have different CTRs. For search, 3.2, as I've talked with folks, is kind of industry standard for us. If you have a straight, what I would call a white hat campaign, I'll kind of, as I go into the next couple slides, when I say white hat, you'll kind of get an idea of what I mean. Where did my notes go? Here are my notes. Huh. All right. So one of the in the email you got earlier today, I think Brianna had mentioned the 3 biggest mistakes that I see schools make. So when we do research for our school partners, these are the 3 biggest mistakes that we see when we do that research. And it's not a fault necessarily of the school when I see these things, but if you're currently doing them, it's something that I would really look into. Now, the first mistake I see are ads where the first headline is the school's name, and I mentioned that when we were creating that. We like to do kind of more of a benefit call to action. You don't have to have your school name there. If it's a benefit or benefits that they are really attracted to, they're going to click on it and then associate that with your school. The second biggest thing that we see, mistake that we see, and it's a huge money waste, is schools that will keyword their school name. And what I mean by that is that in those keywords that we created, Rogers Park Montessori School would put Rogers Park in there. You really don't need to do that unless other schools are keywording your school's name. A lot of times big time schools will have it done to them. But the fact remains, if someone is really searching for your school and they put your whole school name in there, they're looking for your school. So they're going to scroll until they find it. And they're probably not going to have to go below the fold to find it. And usually those people that are looking for your school are current parents that are looking, that are just typing it in there because they don't have the URL memorized and they want to go to the parent portal or to do something on your website. So avoid keywording your school's name. A lot of big time firms will keyword a school's or an organization's name and then say like, wow, look at the click-through rate and look at the cost. Well, you're not competing for anybody for that keyword. And while it may only be 35, 40 cents, that really adds up. The third biggest mistake that I see schools doing is they create, and I do see a lot of good ads, and frankly, I'll look at some ads and say, wow, we might steal that for one of our clients, an idea of, or how they present certain things. But if it is a good ad and then it takes you to a homepage with really no way for them to continue that story that your ad had, and nowhere for them to put information, you're really going to lose a momentum that was created with the ad. And in addition to that, you really do need a strong landing page, and really a set of strong landing pages for your school. So if the ad is about kindergarten and they click on it, it should take them to a landing page that is, kindergarten centric. It's not showing, kids graduating or middle school students. For example of a good ad that goes to a good landing page. I don't want to click on, I don't want to click on anyone's ad because it's going to cost them money. And also it really depends on where you are. So when I type in private schools near me, it's going to show schools that are near me. What I can do, let me do this, is we'll do private schools near me. And we see Landon again here. We got Fusion, DuPage Montessori School. I'm not sure where that is. So in looking at this, one-on-one private school, that might be something that person is looking for. Find a campus near you today. They've got several locations. These are the site links, where it says visit Landon and admission. These are the site links I talked about. You can do up to 4. It may only show 2, but you can do up to 4. And we really feel that this should be a continuation of what the ad says. But again, it's just talking that here's the name of the school, here's who we serve, here's the website. And I don't want to harp on Landon because I like those folks over there. But what we want to avoid are showing ads down here. Or really, showing ads, page 6 is still going to have ads on it. Sample landing page, not our school. So let's see what this is. So, all right. So Goddard School, thank you for that. I like this. I got to take a second to look at it. The thing that I like the most is that right here, bam, there is a way for you to put your information in. I think for landing pages, what's important is the shorter the better. At very least, your name, the user's name, and email address. A lot of times you go to websites and that's all they want: first name, email address. The more information you want them or require for them to fill out here, the less likely they are to do that. But this is good. It's got some information here. There's no real call to action on this page. Apply now to get a early bird discount or something like that. I'm not suggesting that you do that, but you really want to have some sort of call to action here. But this is a good example of an ad where it's got information here. Testimonials, really go a long way. You can find out which specific location you want to get to. So that is a really good example right there. All right. Well, are there any other questions that I can answer for you? Well, at this point of the presentation, I want to thank everyone. I know it's tough times for all of us, and I really am grateful for you to be on here. How do we sign up for tomorrow's session? Kristen, there's I think it's still up on our website. There's a link, and if you sign up for the one for tomorrow, it'll send you the link. But I'll send a follow-up to everyone who was on here with the link to tomorrow's. Now, if you are fully confident and ready to take on Google Ads in your digital marketing, you are free to leave now. We've been on for 52 minutes, but if you have any interest in working with me and with Truth Tree for your digital marketing and really taking your brand and visibility and your enrollment to the next level, then I really think you should stick around. It's only a couple more minutes because this next part of the presentation is for those really who are serious about getting real results now, and we are in a real pivotal time to do that. So the question I have for you is would you like further support in your quest to design your enrollment through digital marketing mastery over the next 3 months? And for many of us, that's next 3 months is going to be really pivotal and critical for you. We at Truth Tree, we're currently partnering with 25 schools and camps for what we call our Enrollment Edge program, to bringing them real, tangible results. And in fact, last week, and this was something that we spent a lot of time doing last week, we were updating all of our school partners' ads to really reflect the inability to take action. Apply now. I mean, yes, you can apply now, but you can't visit, you can't tour. Maybe virtually you can, but it's really difficult to kind of take it to that next step. So this is an incredible opportunity right now because traffic on the internet is amazingly high. So the question I have for you is, what are you doing to take advantage of that traffic? Because Truth Tree, we are uniquely positioned to get you in front of parents who are online, I mean, literally right now. And these are the folks to do it. We are a team. It's not me, although I'm not in the office right now, but we have a team of folks, and we really do take a team approach to each of our school partners. So it's not my opinion. It's not the opinion of one of our folks. It really is the whole group of it. And this is our process. It can be a little sticky, just trying to make sure that we're connected to the right places. But essentially, as a school, what you can do is decide what you want, what you need, and we can help you do that. We're not going to, if you don't need SEO, we don't want you to have SEO. If you want all of it, awesome. Then what you're going to do is you're going to complete the onboarding form. And then after that, it's pretty comprehensive. After that, what we do is we schedule a Zoom strategy session where we really talk about what it is that you want to accomplish with that. And then what we do is we set up the ads for you. You get to see them. There's nothing that's going to go live without your permission. What's great about this is that you get a platform that you can log into day, night, 24/7 to see what's going on with everything that you're doing. And I think the other great thing that we provide is every 2 weeks, we send out a personalized for your school narrative qualitative report. So here are trends that we're seeing. Here is what we're seeing nationwide in your area, or here's how we're adjusting things. And we want to be able to give you some feedback about how you may be able to update your website or your brand position, not trying to reinvent the wheel or let the tail wag the dog, but really give you an opportunity to put your best foot forward for those that are looking for it. For example, STEAM or STEM. 20 years ago, nobody was looking for STEAM or STEM. You may have been doing some of those things, but now people are searching for those things online when they're looking for schools. The other part of that partnership is giving us feedback. So I can send you 50,000 visitors to your site in the next 2 days by touting a free pony for every applicant we get in the next 2 days. That's not legit, and it's not going to bring you quality applicants. So we really want to get your feedback about the quality score of your inquiries and applicants so we can make real-time adjustments on your behalf. So these are the packages that we have currently. We've got the SEO package, the SEM and SMM package, and then we've got the all-in-one package that gives you a nice discount there. And then we'll custom build you landing pages, and you get a free website content audit. And actually, this past enrollment cycle for our school partners, we averaged for all of them together a 2,400% ROI. So that's there for you. Now we got 26 people still on, so the other folks are going to miss out on this. Now it's tough times right now. We know that. But now between April 3rd, if you come aboard for any one of these, for our yearly package, you're essentially you're going to get 1 month for free. So these rates show a 1 month for free. Whew. Well, I want to thank everyone, who stuck around for this part of the presentation, and I'm really looking forward to tomorrow, getting really kind of in deeper and into some of the nitty gritty with the intermediate one tomorrow at 1. But certainly before we move on to final goodbyes, are there any other questions? Can you email the info with your pricing and what packages are included? Yes, I can. I'll send that out to you guys all in the next little while.